Hey everybody out there, Chris and Mike here, and welcome back to another Dark Avenger Comic Book review. Only one night late, and we're doing a triple threat, so hopefully these last two reviews will go up before the live show tonight. Tonight's going to be a very special live show on Comic Frontline, so please guys, hopefully you will be able to attend. We're going to have some special guests, some well-known faces, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Books in this video were released from DC Comics the week of August 13th, 2014. And we are starting with the digital first book, which is Smallville Chaos issue number 1. Smallville is now officially entering the multiverse. This is where I believe the possibility of a crossover between Infinite Crisis is a possibility, as well as even the regular DC universe. I mean, multiverse is very, very big right now when it comes to DC Comics. They went out of their way during San Diego to make a map of the multiverse. I have no idea what world Smallville's universe is in, but obviously Smallville has its own universe. Do they have the map in the back? No, they don't. So Lois Lane gets pulled into the multiverse, and Superman tries to save her. It doesn't work. They disappear into the multiverse. Chloe is very, very pregnant at this point.
Oh, wow.
But now it's up to them to find out where Superman went. But Lex Luthor, on the other hand, has other plans, and there's a lot of stuff going on with Eclipso, Zatanna. I don't want to spoil anything, but we do get to see a little glimpse into the, I believe this is the Wildstorm universe, because they show Majestic. And apparently this world is being invaded by aliens, and unfortunately, all the superheroes are gone, and Superman being there, it basically looks like for that Earth it's too late already, and that's kind of where it leaves you off. That's the long and short of it. Again, when it comes to the digital first books, it's hard for me to review these because you guys are already, if you're reading it digitally, you're already in the second book. I just finished the first book. So for you guys, this is old news. For me, this is new news. For those of you like me who read physically and don't read digitally, then you're more like me, on the same page. We're on the same book together. I would highly recommend Chaos. Chaos looks really interesting. It's thrown Smallville into the multiverse. We got Multiversity coming out next week, issue number 1. I think all of them are issue number 1s. It's number 1 of whatever. Multiverse is huge right now when it comes to DC Comics, and it's going to be huge going into World's End, going into Future's End. It's going to, well, Future's End is more dealing with Earth 1 and 2, but beside the point, Multiverse is huge right now for DC Comics, so it's definitely something to check out. Comic book wise, honorable mention goes to Superboy 34, which is the final issue. And not only the final issue, but the final issue of John Lane Kent. Something in my gut told me to buy this issue, and I didn't know why. And it's all the Superboys throughout the entire multiverse again versus John Lane Kent. Once and for all, putting an end to his evil reign of terror in the DC universe. And guess who comes back? Con-El, the original Superboy. And there's no real spoiler alert here because it's already been mentioned on several news sites. John Lane Kent died, or as they say, John Lane Kent is gone for good. But Con is really back. So Connor, or Con-El, because he's not Connor yet, is back. So the original Superboy returned for the last issue of the series. Will Superboy continue in the future? Well, we've already seen November solicitations, and there's no Superboy there. So maybe we'll be seeing Superboy in Teen Titans at some point. Maybe he'll be somewhere else, but he's not getting his own book.
But you knew he was going to come back. I mean, you called it.
No, honestly, I didn't think Superboy was going to come back. But
I knew he was going to come back. Like, just it took like a little while for that.
More shockers in Green Lantern Corps issue number 34. John Stewart's mission to find Fatality. He's determined, and in this issue, he actually finds her again.
Oh, it's a selfie cover.
Yeah, I got a selfie cover because the original one was no good.
Cool.
So you have Jon Stewart basically tearing up the universe trying to find the woman that he loves, who was taken away, her ring taken away, and she was replaced by a Durland copy. So where is she? Spoiler alert here, guys, and this is a heartbreaking spoiler alert. Jon finds her, but without her ring, she is... Oh, how do I put this? The ring kind of forced her to love Jon Stewart. So without the ring now, she basically can't stand Jon Stewart. She wishes to kill him and the Green Lantern Corps because he's the reason why her planet's gone.
Wow.
So in the end, Jon is left alone. The woman he loved basically turned her back on him, and she's gone for good.
Which then leads into 5 years later.
Everything's leading into 5 years later. Even Superboy's going 5 years later before it's over.
Oh, I see.
So it's heartbreaking for Jon Stewart in this issue, but next up is going to be Godhead. I'm sorry, Godhead. I don't know why I said hand.
I think you showed that last.
I did, but I'm going to show it again for those
all right.
people who didn't see it.
I'm just saying. Yeah, Godhead.
It's going to be going through every single Lantern book. Plus, it's going to get a one-shot to start it all, which is the Green Lantern New Gods Godhead one-shot. There's an Act 1. No doubt there'll be an Act 2 and possibly 3. So it could be a 3-month-long event, and then there'll be a one-shot probably to conclude it all, because it sounds just like, hey, look, here we go. It sounds just like Superman Doomed, with Superman Wonder Woman issue number 11 pulling up chapter 2. The final chapter of this book is not going to be in a Superman title, because Superman right now is being done by Jeff Johns and John Romita Jr., so Supergirl is going to jump in for a part in Superman Doomed for one chapter, and then it's all going to conclude in about 2 or 3 weeks in Superman Doomed one-shot issue number 2. So what happens in this book? I mean, unresolved stuff happened with the Doomsday mist, the mist that's inside Superman that's turning him into Doomsday. All of a sudden Superman beat it, and he was completely Superman again. Now Brainiac attacked, and the entire Earth mentally is connected to Brainiac. And it ended with Mongol and Non leaving the Phantom Zone and coming out on Earth. However, they run back to the Phantom Zone when they find out Brainiac's attacking Earth, because they believe Earth is basically as good as dead. Nobody can figure out what to do. Superman ends up saving Lana, Steel, and Cyborg actually stays behind to fight Brainiac. The artwork is pretty good, by the way. Do I miss Tony S. Daniels' artwork? Absolutely. But this was a really good story, and unfortunately, just things are not working out. I mean, if Brainiac leaves, once he's got what he needs from all the people, he's basically just going to kill them all. And he purposely did Metropolis and Smallville first, because those are the people that are closest to Clark. So now Clark does a last-ditch effort, and so does Wonder Woman. I'm not going to say what what Wonder Woman did. That's for the next issue. But let's just say Clark, well, looks like Superman's back to being Doomsday again.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he basically allows...
I thought he kicked that stuff.
Well, apparently he allowed it to take him over again, because he needed it. I just saw an advertisement for Green Arrow, which was interesting.
Yeah, I know. I read about that the other week ago. I think it's relating to the one I'm reading now, with the new team.
I was just curious.
Yeah, it does look interesting.
Again, Doomed is definitely going from not good to not bad, from interesting to bad. I mean, it's just, at this point, it's like, I don't even understand why we're wasting our time with this series anymore. It's way too long. I'm glad 2 more issues and it's over.
And here's a book that's been a while, actually, since I've picked this up. DC Comics of Justice League United, issue number 4, a selfie cover. Why I say DC Comics? This is DC Comics, so yeah. So, from what happened in the last issue, with the whole Adam Strange transporting and everything that happened on the planet, you know, there's just like a whole big thing where Darius is blaming the people that you know, everything's destroyed, and they're trying to tell him that Bit did it, and, you know, they're just not believing him because they think Bit's a nice man, but he is the one that caused destruction with Lobo. So, you know, and the whole artwork actually is really amazing. Actually, I'll show this one. Drawn very nicely. And then it goes to the other story also where the girl is looking for Nishabin, and they go through this demon-like creature, and they do find her in the cave, and it gets back to that, and more about it you can find out when you read the book. So they see that Hawkman, you know, died, and you know, and they want to know who's going to take the child, and that John Jones talked to, and John Jones really is connected to him because he can telepath what he is saying. So, and they really feel bad that Hawkman died, and, you know, they thought maybe if Supergirl did it, maybe she would have survived. Because they really meant a lot to him. And then they came up with the team name of Justice League United, because they needed a name for that. And it's going to lead next issue of 5 years later, new JLU faces a crisis on Mars and future's end of that. So, I did leave out a lot of stuff though, because I want you guys to really read the book. It was really interesting. I would say that this is Book of the Week from DC, and something really interesting to read, especially after the death of Hawkman and all that.
My final issue of this book, minus September, which I don't count because I'm getting every single book with the 5 years later one-shot. Batgirl issue 34 takes Gail Simone's entire run from issue 1 to issue 34 and brings it full circle. Nightfall versus Batgirl. That's it. That's what this book is all the way through. And finally, after all of the story arcs with Batgirl, after everything that she has gone through with Nightfall, she finally pulls a checkmate on Nightfall in this book. I'm not going to say how, you got to read it. But she does pull a favor, like I said in the last issue, with her friend, I forget her name all the time. Shoot. Forget her name. I already forgot her name.
Oh no, that's...
But she brings her friends in. She brings the person she promises to work with, her people in, and when Nightfall's gigantic plan goes into action, Barbara's one step ahead. And then when Nightfall mentions her contingency plan, again, Batgirl is one step ahead. And in the end, she kind of breaks Nightfall out of this little fantasy that she's in. And Nightfall actually admits to Batgirl that Batgirl's brother is alive. That's a little bit of a spoiler for you guys. And she's not really a murderer. The ending, I'm not going to give away, because it's another very, very heartfelt ending. But I will say this, it ends with her saying she's going to start making her own new life. She's going to move forward. She's like, hello world, nice to meet you, I'm Batgirl. So basically the first chapter of Batgirl's life is now done, and we're moving into the next phase, which is her working for her friend after her friend did her that favor. I will not be continuing Batgirl, not only because Gail Simone isn't on the book anymore, but because from what I'm seeing in her new life, in the next phase of Batgirl, it doesn't really interest me. And there's a lot of new stuff coming out. There'll be Spider-Verse going on at that point in time. Unfortunately, where they're going with Batgirl was strike 1, and the fact that Gail Simone is no longer going to be on the book was strike 2 and 3, and that was just it. So, for what it's worth, Batgirl was a really good series. I'm sure it's going to be really good in the future. Unfortunately, it just does not hold my interest enough for me to hold on to it. Batman issue 34 takes place. We are now out of 0 year. Thank you, God, so much. Greg Capello's taking a break. and we have a new artist, but still Scott Snyder, and it takes place during Batman Eternal. So all these nobodies, these patients that this doctor has, they're going missing. So there's this guy that's going around underneath Batman's radar, killing people who don't matter, and basically burying them in a potter's field. So it's up to Batman to catch this person. He finally figures out that there's something going on, and he kind of recaps everything that's going on. So I don't think this takes place at the very moment we're at now in Batman Eternal. It might take place a little bit in the future, but it is during Batman Eternal. And he seems to be one step behind the murderer until towards the end of the book, where he kind of takes one step. He actually makes one step ahead of the murderer and beats him to killing the doctor. And he gets thrown into Arkham. He's basically a nobody. There's no records of him. There's nothing. And Batman finds out where he buried all the people, which was the Potter's Field. And it's a very dark ending, I will say that. All in all, more of a transition issue. And it's a tie-in a little bit to Batman Eternal. Not something humongous. We're getting into Endgame, which is starting in October. Next is going to be 5 years later, and it says Broken Batman. It's going to be interesting. But this really feels like a transition between what we just went through with Zero Year and now going into Endgame. When does Endgame take place? I have no clue. Probably during Batman Eternal as well, but this was a very nice transition book. A one-issue standalone story. Really good. I like the artwork, and I think the story was enjoyable. Speaking of Batman Eternal issue 19. Barbara is now under the mind control of, I forgot his name, but we find out in this issue that he is the one that made Jim Gordon believe he saw a gun in that person's hand, and there really wasn't a gun. Stay up. It's late, but we gotta do this. You got Batman, Killer Croc, and Lieutenant Bard still in the sewers trying to figure out where this little girl was kidnapped and to save her. And we have Killer Croc showing off these people who were basically mutilated by somebody in the sewers. Or, as he put them, walking reanimated corpses. So now they're trying to find where the girl is, because she's still missing. At Blackgate, there's a humongous prisoner out, not prison break, but the prisoners kind of have a humongous fight, and they lock down as much as they can of Blackgate, but the prisoners basically have taken control of the prison. It jumps back and forth. There's one page with Red Robin and Harper, and you start to see that Red Robin is finally accepting that Harper is going to be part of everything at some point. The Batgirl stuff was really good, but the most interesting part was Jim Gordon, instead of running because of the prisoners running the asylum, he just jumps in and says, "We gotta save the police officers." He goes out and he beats the crap out of almost half of the prisoners there, and he's like, "We're gonna take this." Oh, what was it? Oh God, he said it. I believe it was here. He saves the guards, basically. That's what his goal is, to save the guards. So even in jail, Jim Gordon is still trying to do the right thing. And then Batman and Killer Croc find out where the little girl was kidnapped to, and that's where it's to be continued. The one interesting thing, one little gripe I have with this book is, again, we go from what feels like a norm artwork, like at least the artists look like they work off of each other, to a completely different artist. Definitely not as bad as the one where they introduced Batgirl in Batman Eternal, like where it focused mostly on Batgirl. But again, it's so different that it's like, what's going on? However, for those of you that are saying, hey, that cover looks familiar, the cover is the same artist that does the Batgirl covers. And it's ironic that both of them are Batgirl. So, just a little note. But at the same time, this was a good issue. Didn't really progress too much. Barbara is now going to interrogate the person who framed her father. And that's where it leaves off. and you have Batman and Killer Croc confronting somebody to save this little girl. However, New 52 Futures End issue number 15. We have Superman versus Rampage, and this isn't Superman. His attitude, his personality, everything, it's not Superman, even the way he talks. The whole beginning of the book is him fighting Rampage, and then him having a conversation with Lois about the stuff that Lois got in the mail. We jump to the Uncharted planet where Frankenstein, Hawkman, and Amethyst are. And lots of dialogue there that you guys have to check out. You have Slade and Grifter who get into this fight, and then Faraday shows up, and Cole tells him about the stealth Omax, and he's like, both of you come with me. Finally, we get some Earth 2 people talking. We have Hawkgirl, and I don't know who the other girl is, and Mr. Miracle actually conversing back and forth in the prison. Mr. Miracle already escaped because he has this thing where he can get out of anything. So he's already gotten out of the prison, has a hollow projection of himself in his cell, and he's going around undetected. So he's trying to figure out what's going on and, about the implants that are in all the Earth 2 superheroes that are at Cadmus. Then we jump to the final part of the story where it has John Constantine still following after that alien we saw a couple of issues back. Or whatever this thing is. Alien, robot, whatever. But they want to get to it before anybody else does. And that's where the book basically ends. Lots of plot points, but at least the story is semi-moving forward. This issue kind of, I don't feel like too much was resolved. This moves a little bit more forward in its whatever story. I mean, I don't even understand Batman Eternal right now. Ever since Carmine Falcone was locked away, it's basically becoming like its own Batman title for a year. So it's focusing on its own story, but whatever, it works. It's doing okay for me. If you're not a Batman fan, I'm sure by now you've either dropped it or are considering dropping it. Futures End, however, is moving towards something at the end of the road of the 40-somewhat issues that we're going to be getting of this series. So, looking forward to it. Really looking forward to what we're going to be getting in September. But Futures End was pretty good this week. Progression-wise, not as much. A little bit more of the background plot is being fleshed out. Really, that's about it. So guys, that's it for this comic review. Sorry that everything was a bit brief, and we're kind of semi-running through books. It's been a hell of a weekend, and it's going into the week, and yeah, so we're lucky we actually got through the books at all with all the stuff. So anyway, don't forget to check out comic-related, Comic Frontline, and Zone4Podcast.com. Together we are your #1 source for comic-related news, reviews, and a whole bunch more. Guys, the comment box below is for you guys. Let us know your questions, your likes, your dislikes for this week. Any comments you have on any of the books we read here, or books that you guys have read. Recommendations are always welcome. What are you guys looking forward to in September? Let us know in the comments, and your comments will be heard this Friday on the weekly comic book haul. Every Friday or Saturday.
One of those days.
So anyway, guys, thanks for sticking around. Take care. Keep reading. Keep collecting. And we'll see you guys in the next review.
There,
by the way, this is episode 250.
Oh.
50 more episodes to go until 300. The countdown begins now.
Oh, wow. That's right, 250. Wow. We're getting old. Very old.
The series is getting old.
Well, yeah, that too. But, yeah. So with that, congrats and take care, everybody.
See you guys later.